Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Shanza, Afza, and Faiza. Our special guest for today's episode is Ruby Malik.
Welcome to our Bullying Awareness podcast. I'm your host, MANWAR Khan. Today, I'm joined by three young individuals who are ready to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of self-confidence. They all have the same goal. That's the mainstream with our campaign is eliminating bullying in school and communities. These young individuals are very passionate about addressing the issue of bullying and willing to empower others. Today's participants are Shanza, Afza, and Faiza. Thank you so much for joining here today.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So before I continue, I would like to introduce to our special guest to you guys and our viewers. Just give me a second here. Sorry. Just trying to turn it down. All right. Sorry, I just have to re-record that. Sorry, I got a call in the middle of that talking. So that's a good thing. It's not live. So um, um, we will just have to make sure my Facebook is off on the other browser, because even if I turn off my phone, it's coming from there. Sorry, I will be just repeating what I just said. So 1, 2, 3. So before we continue, I would like to introduce our special guest for today's podcast, Ruby Malik. Ruby will shed some lights on the self-confidence topic and give some tips and advice. And I would like to talk a little bit about Ruby. Ruby is a Pakistani Canadian, and has lived in North America over 32 years. She has over 16 years of professional experience working with Government of Canada and has worked her way up in the Canadian Public Service, from delivering the frontline services to managing large grants and contribution funding across the Western provinces and territories and nationally. She strongly believes in giving back to the community, and she has been a dedicated volunteer in the community and has served on the boards of numerous community organizations. She loves rural lifestyle, and she lives on a farm outside of this city of Edmonton with her husband and three lovely daughters. I would like to, that's the bio I have written here about Ruby, but I want to add something. That's my point of view. Ruby is a great activist, and as one of my inspiration when I started my rallies. She is always there for us when we needed, for any campaign, any support we needed. She is always there for us and our community. So thank you, Ruby, for joining us today at this podcast.
Thank you for providing this platform and for inviting me over. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
you're welcome. Now that we have introduced our participants and guests, let's get started with our questions. My first question is for Afza. Self-confidence is a very important thing to have. What does self-confidence mean to you? And can you think of a time when you felt really confident in yourself? What made you
Okay.
feel that way?
Okay. So I would like to say that self-confidence is basically being confident in yourself, and believing in yourself. It can also be trusting your abilities, qualities, and judgment. skills too. It can mean to accept and have trust in yourself and have a sense of control in your life. And there is a time I want to talk about. Basically, last year I won my science fair. So that time I felt really confident in myself because I kept telling myself that I could do it, and I actually did it. So I think that's all I would like to say.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Great answer. And self-confidence, I agree with you. Self-confidence is a subjective experience that varies for individual. Each individual, it's different, but it is really important to have, and it is a tool that can actually help you to prevent bullying in community, school, at workplace. So my next question is for Faiza. What are some strategies you can use to overcome self doubt and build your self confidence?
Well, first of all, we should not pay any heed to what people say, and we should always focus on the positive things and focus on our own achievements. We should also cut people off that discourage us and be around people that actually support us, and we should not compare ourselves with others. And lastly, we should believe in ourselves and we should constantly tell ourselves that yes, we can do it.
All right. Yeah, that's a great answer. And this building self-confidence it's not a one-day process. It's a gradual process, and it's not normal. We will have ups and downs along the way, but be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and keep challenging yourself to grow. Great answer. Thank you, Faisa. So my next question and the last question is for Shanza is there are several ways you can support your friends and help them to feel more confident about themselves. So my question to you is what are some ways, Shanza, you think you can support your friends and help them to feel more confident about themselves?
Yeah, so I would boost them up and encourage them in things they do, saying positive things to them about themselves. Even if they do anything wrong, we have to address that in such a way so that they don't feel, inferior, but also understand and correct it. And I think, encouraging them is something we should always do to help our friends. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Right. Excellent. Great answer. Everyone's journey is unique, and we know that. So, building confidence takes time, but providing consistent support from family and friends, encouragement, and belief in your friends can help them to develop this eventually. Right. With the completion of the questioning, we will now move on to our final segment to the podcast. And now I would like to invite our special guest, Ruby, to share her thoughts on what she heard here from you guys and any advice and tips she would like to give to our participants and viewers. Ruby.
First of all, I'm so proud and happy to see bold, brave young women on the panel here answering these questions and some profound personal and deep experience thoughts, I think, around this topic. So, so proud of young women like this who share their experiences on platforms like this. So that's great. I think self-confidence, some of the excellent members on the panel already explained what self-confidence is. So it's basically, as we all know, believing in ourselves. And it's we all know that, but do we incorporate or implement it into our lives or not? We all have self-doubt. We, as human beings, we all have self-doubt, and that's normal and natural to have. But it should not be debilitating us of to the point of thinking negatively about ourselves. So that's the main thing. So self-confidence is not that we are rude or we are too loud or we are flamboyant. You can be self-confident in a very subtle way. And as Manwar, you mentioned exactly, it is very unique to everybody. So we are all unique human beings. Even siblings in the same house, we are all different personalities, even though we grow up in the same nurturing environment, basically the parents and the care and guidance. However, we all turn out to be very unique in our own ways. So the thing is, for self-confidence, we have to have sense of control on our own selves. So as some young women already express that, don't compare yourselves to others. I think that's a key thing to have. Nowadays, the society is at a very fast pace. Social media, other things influence us so much. And then it's very natural to fall into the pattern. Even as grown-ups, I think it's more so for the younger people, the teenagers and adolescents to experience it, to have that pressure of comparing ourselves to what we see on social media, or what we see to be the images of successful people. But success is very unique to each one of us. So that is one thing to keep in mind, that we have to trust in ourselves. We have to have sense of control, and also being realistic. What is my reality? Of Shanza and Pfizer, you guys, each one of you has your own unique reality, and we have to be very, we have to reflect to be aware of it. So, saying that, also we have to um, not be, I think we have to have a set of core principles as human beings at any age that we can think of, that we can't let go of, and then build our personality around it. It's okay to say no in situations. It's good to have, I'm quickly trying to think, as you said, tips. So I'm kind of thinking of those important things. It's okay to, it's definitely, um, our job is not to please everybody. So don't need to be a people pleaser. Sometimes for cultural norms, for gender norms, like I come from a culture of being born and raised in Pakistan. So I moved to North America when I was 19. So I kind of identity was already formed, which kind of taught me um, that being loud or being out there or being a leader might not be something that is required of me because of my gender and so on. But it's okay to at some point take a pause, reflect, and change your ways. You learn from what you have seen around and what you um, know it to be, and then where you want to go. So breaking, sometimes we are dictated the gender norms, we are dictated the cultural norms. I'm not saying to break those boundaries, but it's always good to self-evaluate, and then setting realistic goals for ourselves, not comparing ourselves with others. Don't have to be a people pleaser. Also, to achieve success, set your own realistic goals and surround yourself with positive people. I think it's good to have mentors, it's good to have role models uh, that you want to have the same traits like, and then to approach them, and then be around people who build you up. As you were saying, it's good to have peers who build you up. It's it takes strength to get away from negative people. We don't know until we interact with them, but have the courage in ourselves to walk away from negative situations, toxic people, letting go of negative situations and people. So surrounding ourselves, I think it all helps in our self-confidence. And comparing yourself from what you were yesterday, always having those goals. Like I have, as you said, three young daughters. They're all at University of Alberta between the ages of 26 to 20. So I'm always trying to teach them as a parent, as a mom, don't compare among yourselves or to your peers or feel stressed, pressured because of it. Set your own goals for what you did yesterday and what you want to be, an improved version of that today and maybe tomorrow and so on. So these are some of the things I um, repeated, some of the basic things we already know, but we are sometimes programmed in a way that we, in a robotic way, kind of keep going on, and it's hard to get out of situations that we don't want to be in. But I think key message would be always good to take pause to reflect what your reality is, and then always setting good, positive short-term goals, long-term goals, and then reaching out to people who can help you get there, and always surrounding yourself with positive people. So that's the, I think, gist of what I wanted to convey.
Excellent. Thank you, Ruby, for your insights. That's really very informative. My participants, any questions for Ruby?
No,
No,
thank you for your advice.
Yes, thank
Thank
you for
you
your
for
advice. I
listening.
appreciate it.
That's
Thank you. And I'm not sure what you young women are doing in your lives and careers and so on, but I always put myself out there as a mentor, not because I have any specific expertise, but just being having some lived experience in different ways. We all have things we can be mentors for. So I encourage you to reach out to me if you think I can guide or provide advice or be somebody who can you can talk to in a safe way. Definitely, I would be available for that.
yeah, and see, here you go. So I will, with Ruby's permission, I will forward you guys Ruby's email address. If you have any questions, any tips, advice, any part of life, you can ask that, and I know that you will get the right advice from her.
Great, thank
So
you. Nice,
excellent.
very nice to meet you all. That's great.
All right.
It's nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have come to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank our participants, Shanza, Afza, and Faiza. Also want to thank Ruby for taking out of your busy schedule. And I know how busy you are, your life. Sorry, I forgot to mention one thing in my in the bio, um, for the participant, just so you know that Ruby has horses.
That's one of the reasons
wow.
for living outside the Vinton and living on a farm because we wanted to always have horses. So we do have two horses and we have a few goats and chickens and dogs and cats.
Yeah. Yep. That's sorry, I forgot to mention that. That's I really wanted to mention
That's
in the
really
bio.
nice. I also actually want to own horses. Horses are cool.
Oh, oh, that's
Yes,
great.
I do.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Uh, Yeah, I just said my mother loves horses as well.
Oh,
Oh, really?
that's nice to
Yeah.
know. That's great, Faisal. That's
I know. I did get an opportunity in one of the political campaign to go to Ruby's place and pet a horse. So that was my first time, actually.
oh,
So
that's great. Yeah, we had you over that time.
yeah. All right. So thank
Maybe
you
we
so
can
much.
have young women and people who are interested at some point, like a youth. Some of the people I don't want to come over because I think most people who want to have or interact with horses don't get too many opportunities sometimes. So
Yeah.
ours is informal. It's not a commercial anything. It's just we have privately owned horses and friends and family are welcome to come and pet them and help us clean their barn and stuff.
Exactly, exactly. No, thank you so much, Ruby. I really
Thank
appreciate that. So,
you.
thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind our listeners that there are several resources available to help individuals dealing with bullying. Government of Alberta has a bullying helpline, which is 1-888-456-2323. That helpline is available and provides support and advice who experience bullying. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances is bullying acceptable. As community, we have a shared responsibility to stand against bullying and not to be a bystander. Thank you for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.